Welcome back to Around the Region. We were given an exclusive by Angel Manfredy here, an internationally ranked boxing champ from East Chicago, Indiana, I believe, originally, right?
Raised. Born in Gary, Indiana.
Born in Gary, raised in East Chicago, now training out of Maryville, Hobart, one in a million boxing club in, what is it, Maryville, Hobart area here?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Pretty much.
And Angel, for the most part, you know, for our viewers, let's get the interview started by, how in the heck did you get started with boxing?
Basically born in Gary. I mean, the rough town of Gary. I mean, it's a city that you gotta fight. And all my life, that's all I remember was fighting. So basically, that's all I ever wanted to do was fight. Leaving Gary and coming to East Chicago, smallest kid and yet dangerous.
Do you remember when you first put on a pair of boxing gloves and started sparring a little bit and said, man, this is for me, you know what I mean?
I remember that when it was in elementary school. I told a kid to meet me at the park, you know, and that's where I was gonna fight, you know, and take care of him. Came at the park, a lot of kids were there, I took care of them, beat them up real bad, and then came home, had blood all over my hands and everything from him. My dad said, you beat him? I said, of course I did. And at that time I had a friend named Choo, which is Jesus, and he told me about this boxing gym. He told my dad, and my dad took me to the gym and put on the gloves and started sparring with him, and I knew I had found something that I've fell in love with, and that was one of my first loves, was boxing. And then from there I branched off and went to Gary Powell, Coach John Taylor, and I was there, and from there I went to Windy City, Chicago, turned pro in Indiana, but yet my starting out and turning professional, I wasn't serious in the game, and got 2 quick defeats due to what I was doing on the streets and the life that I was living. And after those 2 losses, because I never like to lose in anything I do, so those losses moved on me, did something to me, and it just made me want to overcome and made me want to prove myself to my dad, to my family, to the world. A kid that didn't have no leadership in the home, didn't have no guidance, didn't have no direction, didn't have no positive role model in my life. Basically, I was my own role model to myself, and I had to do it. I had to want to be somebody, and I was determined, and I was always telling people and telling teachers and telling everybody that I'm gonna be somebody. I'm gonna be somebody. Going through numerous of car accidents, you know, who knows how many car accidents. I've been through over 10 probably. My last one was, as you see, my forehead, when I went straight to a telephone pole, the driver's side smashed to the passenger side, front end smashed to my chest. That didn't even knock me out. At that time, I was still coherent. I seen a hand come into my car. I thought he was trying to steal my car. I swing at him. He says words that I can't utter. He says, you gotta go to the hospital. I said, I ain't going to the hospital, I'm going home. So as you can see at that time, the driver's side smashed to the passenger side, the front end smashed to my chest. They had to weld me out to get me out of the car. They said my legs were broken. I had a hole in my head. They said if you put an inmate in my head, it looked like it just blew out. Pieces were everywhere, just a big hole. They thought I was dead, and at the time, you know, I just said, I'm going home. And when I said I went home, I blacked out, and I felt that I was in the presence, and I was begging for my life. That's all I knew. I was just begging for my life. And I woke up in the hospital, and the first words that came out of my mouth to the doctors, would I be able to box again? And he said, never again. I've been told that my whole life. Stupid, dumb, you're never gonna accomplish it, never gonna go nowhere throughout your whole life. You've been told that, you've been put down all your life. And when I heard that, oh, did that drive on me? Yeah. You know what I mean? That moved me. Because you know what, when people put me down, when people say I can't do it, that's what moves on me even more. Yeah. So it moved on me mighty. And I came back and knocking out, everybody nicknamed myself El Diablo, the devil. And I was hiding behind that devil's mask. And I was living a ruthless life at the time, tattooing. I mean, you name it, I was doing it. Living the life of this world, you know?
Now, Angel, let's, currently right now, when did you first get your first title belt? Let's go a little bit back about your boxing history.
Well, I was, I believe I was 20 years old, and when I went to Canada, I took care of business, knocked out their Canadian champion, and won that first title, and then 6 months later, didn't have no fight, and then fought for the world title against Calvin Grove, which was a top-ranked fighter at the time, and I knocked him out as well.
And what title was that, were you fighting for?
Oh, it was the junior lightweight world title.
And what weight class was that? Roughly?
That one junior lightweight was at 130. So I won in Canada when I fought, it was at featherweight. I went down to featherweight, and tough training to get to 126. I got to the 126, knocked out the Canadian champ, then went up to 130, knocked out him, and then continued to, I defended my world title 7 times in different countries, different cities.
Then, after defending your title 7 times, what was the first match that you had where you were defeated and your title was taken away from you?
Well, I
Who was that
mean,
with?
even before that, I fought a guy, my first team breaking into HBO, fought a guy named Jorge Paez. Yep. He was world champion, and I knocked him out on HBO. That was exciting. That's when El Diablo came out on HBO TV.
There you go.
The ratings were high, very high. Nobody never saw nothing like it before. The costume, the whole get-up, you know, it was a lot more intense than what Paez was bringing to the ring, because there was a story behind the mask, you know. And then that was basically taking me to the fight with Arturo Gatti. He was the one that was knocking out everybody at the time. And I told my wife a while back, I said, I'm gonna fight that guy. She said, no way, no way. I said, watch, I'm gonna fight that guy, and I'm gonna beat him. And I was determined to beat him, and I did beat him, and I beat him very good as well. You know, I let HBO know, I let the whole world know that I was one to reckon with. That's when, you know, after I beat Arturo Gatti, fame, fortune, I mean, you beat the guy, you beat the star of HBO. And after you did that, I mean, that's when everything, fame, fortune, women, drugs, you name it, it was all there. Placed before me, the money, the fame, the fortune, you name it, everything that this world has to offer, it was there for me on a plate, on a platter, and I was eating off of it. And no shame to it, I was eating off of it, and I was living that life, you know, I was living that fast lane life, you know, and blowing a lot of money and doing my own thing and not being there for my children, just not being there for my wife, and just basically doing what I wanted to do. And then stepping in there with Mayweather, he was a young guy coming up, but he was the one to reckon with as well. He was another name, you know, and I was determined to fight him, but yet I didn't have that attitude because my life was like a seesaw at that time. You know, you can't overcome and you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish when you're living a fast lane life, when you're on the streets, when you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, when you're partying, when you're living the life of the rich and famous, you know. That slowed me down, and that caused the defeat in that fight. I lost that fight on HBO. Then I came back after that fight and fought a man by the name of Ivan Robinson. At that time, he beat Arturo Gatti twice. And he was talking a lot of stuff about me, saying that he could beat me because he beat Gotti twice. So I was like, you know what, bring it, you know what I mean? He motivated me to get back into the ring and to go ahead and take care of him. Got back into the ring on HBO and got one of the highest ratings on HBO against Ivan Robinson, and I took care of him very easily. After that fight, I had a huge party at my house for the De La Hoya and Trinidad fight. Had invited all kind of people, you know, so-called friends, you know. Had them there, and we were just having a good time watching the fight. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing that. I told myself, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I'm no longer playing, I'm gotta get serious, you know. After the fight, I betted $5,000 on the fight. I won $5,000 on the fight. And after the fight, you know, everybody's saying, hey, now you won, man, come on, let's go out, let's go do something, man. You won $5,000, man, you know. So they tempted me, you know, and I fell into temptation. And I went out and I went to the club and we partied and came home, and that came into a couple of day partying, and I got to a point in my life where I got tired of everything. I got tired of the money, I got tired of the women, I got tired of the drugs. I wasn't happy with my wife, my kids, my life, the cars, the houses, the fame, the fortune. I wasn't happy with it, and I got to a point in my life where suicide was creeping into my mind, and I had to make a decision with my life, and I had to choose my life, either death or life. And I chose life, and I gave my life to Christ Jesus. And once I did that, you know, it was still another road that I had to go, you know, that I had to go on.
And Angel right now is giving us an exclusive. We're the first people that are going to that are interviewing Angel after his latest fight, which was at the Hammond Civic Center, and it aired on national television. And Angel, you wanted to, you know, talk a little bit about that. Actually, you know, I'm glad you are. And what would you like to tell boxing fans and Angel Manfredy fans out there in Northwest Indiana, in the region, what happened that night?
Well, I wanted to tell them that I'm so truly, truly sorry, because Angel was not there that night. I know I was there in body, but I wasn't there in spirit. I wasn't there in attitude. I wasn't there and basically going out there and to win. I didn't train for the fight, and it was the biggest thing I ever faced with my life, and this was outside of the ring. It had nothing to do with drugs or anything like that, but it had to do with depression and oppression. That I never faced before in my life. It's an ugly place to be, you know. Everything is going through your mind. Suicide. You don't care about your life. You wish God would just take your life. You're screaming out. You're just lost, you know. And I was hurt, man. Just hurt every day when I had to come to the gym, depressed, you know. And I didn't want to get out the house, man. I was just stuck in the house, and it was a terrible thing to go through. Anything you go in through your life without faith, anything you do without faith, believing that you can do it, you're gonna lose. And then the fight took place. And as if you know boxing, and if you're a fan, or if you're somebody that watches boxing, just looking at me, you'll know that I wasn't there. I didn't come to fight, but it happened the way it happened, and I took I took it regardless of anything. I didn't want to let down my fans. I didn't want to let down my family, but you know, I took it for the wrong reasons, and I'll never do that again. You live and learn.
You know, for our younger viewers out there, what would you encourage them, or what kind of advice would you give younger viewers if they were interested in boxing as a career?
If they're interested in boxing, I guess every day is a fight. So every day, regardless if you put on the gloves or not, you're gonna be in a fight, and you're gonna have decisions that you gotta make. Some you're gonna make wrong, some you're gonna make right. But I pray that you make the right decision in life. Stay confident. It's very hard for people nowadays to be confident and believing in themselves. They always want to follow the crowd. They always want to follow friends. And that's one thing that I was doing, and people were following me, you know. But that's one thing you shouldn't do. Be yourself, you know what I mean? Be that light. Be different. And come to the truth, you know what I mean? Come to the truth of life. Know without a fact, you know what I mean? Keep your faith in Christ, and stay focused, you know what I mean? Stay focused, stay determined. Never, that's just my word, never give up. Regardless of anything that comes your way, you can do it. You can go through all things. You can accomplish any and everything you want to put your heart to it, but you must believe. That's one thing a lot of people don't do, is believe. This world that we live in today, it's getting worse and worse. But you know what? You can make a difference. You can make a difference in life. You just choose this day, what you're gonna do with your life. And I pray that you choose the right way of life. I mean, I always told everybody, you know, the only person that can beat me is me. The only person that can beat you is you. And I believe that the Lord gives us all gifts, and we can do what we want to do. If we put our heart, our soul, and our spirit, and our strength into it, we can do it.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. And Angel, we want to thank you for being on Around the Region. Okay,
Hey,
for the exclusive interview. And for Angel Manfredy, I'm Nick Mantis, and we'll see you, and we'll be back with more of Around the Region. Thanks, Angel. Right on.
Amen.